A very happy morning to all of you students. Students, today in this video we are going to revise our chapter Matter in Our Surrounding. Actually, I have tried to compile both of the chapters, that is the chapter 1 and chapter 2 in this video. So let us start. Firstly, what is matter? Matter is anything that has mass and which has occupied space. Anything around us which has mass and occupies space is known as matter. Okay, then we can classify a matter on the basis of the state. That is, we have basically the three states. One is solid, one is liquid, and the other one is gas. But there are two more states of a matter, that is the plasma, which is the ionic state of a matter. And the fifth one is the Bose-Einstein state. This state is actually formed by condensing the gases at a very low temperature to about absolute zero, which is otherwise not able to attain. Okay, so these are the 5 states of matter. Then if we move further, then we know that matter, if we talk about the physical nature of matter, then we know that matter consists of particles. And what is the evidence that how can we say that matter is consist of particles? It is that we can dissolve a liquid, a solid into a liquid, right? Now, how we are able to dissolve a solid into a liquid? Because there exist spaces between the particles of the liquid, okay? And the solid, it moves to smaller pieces when it is dissolved in a liquid. Then movement of pollen grains, right? Or we can say the Brownian movement, the zigzag motion of the particle. These all proves that the matter consists of particles. Then if we talk about the physical characteristics of a matter, then we have basically the 4 characteristics of the particles of a matter. What are those characteristics? The first characteristic is matter is made up of extremely small size particles which are smaller than our imagination. Okay, then what is the second one? Second one is that the particles of a matter have interparticle spaces in it. Okay, you can say the proof is dissolution of sugar in water without increasing the level of the water. Then particles moving constantly, that particles of any substance, any state of matter, it keeps on moving continuously, whose well-known example is diffusion. Okay, then diffusion is intermixing of particles. Then the fourth property of characteristic of particle is that the particles of a matter, they attract each other. Okay, and its example are the cohesive forces which exist between the similar atom and the adhesive forces which exist between the dissimilar atoms. Okay, so these are the characteristic particles of the matter. So what do we have done till now? We have done the classification of matter and the physical characteristics of the particles of matter. Now the next thing is interconversion. Okay, that is interconversion of states. Fine. So interconversion of states means we can convert a solid into a liquid and a liquid into a gas, and vice versa can also be done. Okay, and we can attain this conversion like we can do the freezing, we can do the melting or evaporation, condensation or sublimation. These all changes can be attained by altering either the temperature or the pressure. If we pressurize, like the solids and the liquids, they are not that much compressible, but the gases are highly compressible, so they can be liquefied by applying the pressure. Then by altering temperature, we can change a solid into a liquid and vice versa, like solid can be changes into liquid, that is melting can be done by increasing the temperature, and reverse of this can be done by decreasing the temperature. Okay, then I have marked some terms over here like latent heat, freezing point, melting point. Now what are all these? Latent heat is the heat like when you start heating a liquid, some of the energy which you supply is used in overcoming the forces that exist between the particles of the liquid, right? Or we can say that some of the energy or the heat which we give, it gets hidden into the solid, and that heat is known as latent heat, which doesn't give rise to any increase in the temperature, but only helps in changing the state of the substance. That is known as the latent heat. And the temperature at which a substance start freezing is known as freezing point on decreasing the temperature, and on increasing the temperature, when it starts melting, that temperature is known as melting point at atmospheric pressure. Okay, because we have to keep the atmospheric pressure constant, so we always take that ideal condition. Fine, students. Then this was related to the conversion of solid to liquid. Next, coming to the conversion of liquid to gas. Again, we can convert a liquid into a gas by increasing the temperature, and the process is known as evaporation. Now again, here also the latent heat of evaporation is there. Now what is this latent heat? Again, when we start heating a liquid, firstly the amount of heat provided by us is utilized in overcoming the forces between the liquid particles, and thus the state changes occur only without any change in temperature of the solution. Such a heat which gets hidden in the solution is known as latent heat. Now after the latent heat has been occupied by the solution, then further rise in temperature of the solution occurs. Okay, so the point at which a liquid starts boiling at its atmospheric pressure is known as boiling point, and the reverse can be done, that is a gas can be converted into liquid by decreasing the temperature. Okay, and in the same way the process of conversion of vapors or a gas into a liquid is known as condensation, and the point at which it occurs is known as condensation point. Then solid to gas, yes, we have some solids which directly gets converted to gas without moving into the liquid state. Such process is known as sublimation. Like here I have pasted a picture of camphor as an example, because camphor that undergoes sublimation. Then we have ammonium chloride also. We have naphthalene balls also which undergo the process of sublimation. Okay students, so these are all related to the state changes. Now in our chapter we have a full-fledged concept of evaporation. That what evaporation is, what are its physical significances, or what are its common life significances. So let us do the term evaporation properly. What is evaporation? Evaporation is conversion of a liquid into gaseous form on increasing the temperature or on decreasing the pressure, right? So now what are the factors which affect the extent of evaporation? First of all is temperature. So energy of evaporation or extent of evaporation is directly proportional to temperature, that is it increasing on increasing the temperature. Then if we talk about surface area, then evaporation it just increases on increasing the surface area. Then humidity. Humidity is the amount of water vapors in the atmosphere. So rate of evaporation it decreases with the increase of humidity. Then we have the wind speed. The extent of evaporation it increases with the increase of wind speed. And then the last one but not the least of course is the nature of substance. That a substance should be volatile. Volatile means it should have a capability to evaporate. Okay students, so these are the major 5 factors which affects the extent of evaporation. Okay, now if we talk about the physical significance of evaporation, then we should know that evaporation always produces a cooling effect, right? Like we use the cotton clothes to wear in the summer. Why? Because summer clothes they just absorb our sweat and just let the sweat to get evaporate, which in turn gives us a cooling sensation. Same way, if you just have the spirit or any kind of alcohol on your palm, then it will give you the cooling sensation because it gets evaporated soon by leaving the temperature of the palm at a lower one. So which just gives you a cooling sensation. So evaporation always produces a cooling sensation. This is also the reason that why we keep the water in the summers in the earthen pot, because the earthen pot they are porous, so they allow the water vapors to just you can say to come out of the pores of the walls of the earthen pot and thus undergo evaporation, and hence leaving the surface of the earthen pot at a lower temperature. Fine. So there is a very small difference between evaporation and boiling. Many of the students they got confused with what is boiling and what is evaporation. Dear, evaporation is a surface phenomena. Like in this, only the surface particles gets evaporated or gets move on to the air. But boiling is a bulk phenomena, like whole solution is at the same temperature. Then evaporation, it occurs at the temperature below the boiling point. Like it can occur at any temperature. Like if we talk about the evaporation of water, then water on a floor also gets evaporated. But if we talk about boiling, then it needs a specific temperature to get boiled. Then rate of evaporation depends on nature of liquid, surface area, humidity, temperature, wind speed. But if we talk about the boiling, it doesn't depend on all these factors. It just depends on the intermolecular forces between the particles of the liquid. Okay, students. So in this way, I have tried to compile about whole of the chapter in a very small lecture. So I hope that you have understood with the chapter. Okay. So go through the video again. Thank you. Have a nice day.